is 7.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, death toll in Venezuela climbs, a state of emergency declared. National demerit point system to become operational on October 1. Jamaica eyes deeper partnership with Suriname. Inquiry this built on borrowed land. Who really owns the house? In the business report, an evening with Mayberry Investments beyond the portfolio. And later in sports, Jamaican International joins Europa League side FQ Quarabag. From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Thursday, June 25, 2026. I'm Nika Lewis. Thank you so much for joining us. Jamaica and Suriname are looking to turn diplomatic ties into stronger economic partnerships as both countries have moved to expand cooperation in areas ranging from energy to transportation. Kevin Black reports.
The strategy is to, yes, we will develop oil and gas.
Jamaica and Suriname have agreed to strengthen bilateral relations, with both governments identifying energy, trade and investment as key areas for deeper cooperation. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the region has a unique opportunity to improve its energy security by working together as oil and gas production expands across CARICOM.
The development of oil and gas in the region creates the possibility for the region for our own energy security between Trinidad, Guyana and Suriname. I believe that Suriname is taking note as well that Jamaica has started exploration offshore for oil and gas. And so far, the results have shown that there is the possibility of an active petroleum system offshore in some of the areas of exploration.
Prime Minister Holness also revealed that both countries are now pursuing an air services agreement that could establish direct flights between Jamaica and Suriname.
One of the reasons why the region is not able to exploit all the resources that are positioned all around, we just don't have the connectivity, whether it is air or sea. And we have proposed and are discussing an air services agreement which could see direct flights between our two countries. So that is being structured now as we speak.
Meanwhile, Suriname President Jennifer Gerling-Simmons says the discussions reflect a shared commitment to deepening cooperation across multiple sectors.
We
are both concerned about labor migration. Our workers are moving to other countries. We have also discussed how we could tackle this and what Suriname thinks. In general, we can say that the governments of Jamaica and Suriname want to strengthen cooperation so the population of both countries has a better future.
Kevin Black reporting for CVM News.
Members of the clergy from across Montego Bay, St. James are raising concerns this evening about critical conditions affecting residents in the parish. The St. James Ministers Fraternal held a media conference on Wednesday looking at Melissa recovery and among other issues. Akeem Orrett has more in this report.
For generations, St. James has been seen as the tourism mecca of Jamaica, but members of the St. James Ministers Fraternal say there is another side of the parish's success story. Chairman of the St. James Ministers Fraternal, Reverend Glendon Powell, says several critical issues have been plaguing the parish.
Healthcare services, including the shortage of doctors, nurses, ambulance services, and other critical healthcare services, resources. The increase in shootings and violent crimes within our communities. The slow response of political leaders and relevant authorities in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. The deteriorating road condition, especially Upper St. James, particularly damage of the erosion affecting the Springmount Main Road.
These are issues the chairman says continue to threaten the lives of residents. Since 2026, St. James has recorded 35 murders, 9 more than the 26 the parish recorded between January 1 and June 25, 2025. Reverend Powell, pointing to what he describes as the disappointing murder figures, is calling on churches in the parish to join the fight against crime.
We want not just one church. We represent churches in St. James. And some churches are not a part of the St. James Ministers Fraternal. We want every church to become a part of the St. James Ministers Fraternal, where we can sit down and we can collaborate and put plans in place to stem that monster of crime. The crime is everybody's problem, and we must seek to address it.
But crime is not the only monster wreaking havoc in the parish. Immediate past president of the fraternal, Reverend Davwin Thomas, points to the deplorable conditions at the Cornwall Regional Hospital. He says while efforts are being made, a lot more needs to be done for health care in the parish.
The church has done so much in going to the crevice and corner. I know the Baptist, the Open Bible, the New Testament church, we have gone all over to serve the people with food, water, the works, right? Things that we can manage to do. But there are some bigger things that we can't do. Because remember now, the churches has been affected terribly by the aftermath of the hurricane.
Crime and health challenges aside, St. James is still healing from the wounds inflicted by Hurricane Melissa. Reverend Powell says the church has gone across the parish in a bid to assist in recovery efforts, but he says churches are also still picking up the pieces. Akeem Orrett for CVM News.
In the meantime, the church leaders are also calling for transparency this evening following the Integrity Commission's report that was tabled in Parliament, recommending that Cabinet Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley be slapped with the criminal charge of illicit enrichment. Chairman of the St. James Ministers Fraternal, Reverend Glendon Powell, says if the Cabinet Minister is found guilty, the Prime Minister should take action.
If he is truly culpable for what he said, all right? He needs to really take nobody should even ask him to do it. He should just do it by himself. But the Prime Minister has a responsibility to take action, if that is true.
Meantime, Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, has announced that the government is set to invest $500 million into the efforts of qualified non-governmental organizations to support programs aimed at improving the health and quality of life of Jamaicans. Dr. Tufton was speaking at a town hall in St. James, and we'll hear more in this report from Carla Ramdeen.
Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton is urging Jamaicans to take their health seriously. The minister says poor lifestyle choices are continuing to contribute to many of the country's health problems. He says unhealthy habits that begin in families and communities must be addressed through prevention and healthier living.
A lot of the things that we have become afflicted by in terms of sickness are linked to the influences within our environment. So the foods that we eat, the alcohol that we consume in the format that we consume it, the special, the addiction to social media, the other influences of that environment really starts within the place where we reside and collectively where we come together as a community.
Dr. Tufton says the government has expanded the country's health infrastructure over the past decade. More health centers have been built and access to medication has increased through the National Health Fund. He says these investments must be matched by healthier lifestyle choices.
Over that period of 10 years, the government has responded through a budget that has moved from $60 billion in 2015 to $140 billion last year, to try to right-size the response to a society that, frankly speaking, has not really lived healthily. We are witnessing the demise of our community, the demise of family and friendship in the purest form from a society that has become wayward, heavily influenced by external forces, and that are leading all of us, one with another, down a path that is going to be our sure demise and destruction.
To address the issue, the Health and Wellness Minister says the government will disperse $500 million to qualify non-governmental organizations with the capacity to champion the cause of improving the health of Jamaicans.
Not because something is legally allowable in a free country and free trade mean that it is good for you. There has to be a plan, there has to be some accountability, there has to be some objectives that are set and targets and will be monitored. But we have $500 million and we're willing to give it to whoever is championing a cause in different volumes and amounts, of course, subject to the screening and the approval process.
Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
Parliament's Regulations Committee was told that a technical error in the Insurance Act led to the omission of motor vehicle insurance from a key schedule, with officials clarifying that the amendments only restore the intended classification without altering approved fees. Speaking at Tuesday's sitting, Executive Director of the Financial Services Commission, Lieutenant Colonel Kieran Burrell, walked members through the correction and its intent.
These regulations replace the previous 20th schedule contained in the Insurance Regulation of 2001 by providing for revised and new industry fees, which replaces the previous methodology for calculating annual fees for both life and general insurance with a new methodology. However, an inadvertent error was identified in a recently reviewed amendment regulations. The amendment that the committee is being asked to consider today restores the omitted class of motor vehicle insurance, thereby ensuring the accuracy and completeness of the schedule, in keeping with the Commission's previous representations to this committee.
Stay with us for more news at 7 after this break.
Surprise! I have your favorite. Come, hurry, quick. Hey! How you doing?
Babe, I'm a pure ginger beer. What do you mean? Boss, me only coming for one thing.
No!
After all them years, you give me pure ginger beer.
For the moments that are best enjoyed with your hands, enjoy them with a KFC Big Deal or Big Bucket. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Should critical illness strike, don't let worry fill your head. Say hello to happiness and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan. Secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness ahead of time while benefiting from our investment portfolio and so much more. Give yourself and your family the peace of mind you deserve with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan today. And live secure, live easy.
This football season, don't just watch the action, be part of it. With Chris and Charles' Score Big loan promotion, upgrade your TV, plan that trip, or handle what matters most, fast and easy. And here's the best part. Every loan gives you a chance to win one of 3 58-inch smart 4K TVs. So while your favorite team scores on the field, you could be scoring big too. Promotion runs May 11 to July 20, 2026. Visit any branch or Chris and Charles for details. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Score big this football season on...
Thanks so much for staying with us. A counseling psychologist is of the view that tackling cyberbullying will require more than punishing offenders, arguing that parents, schools, law enforcement and social media platforms all have a role to play in protecting children. Kevin Black tells us more.
Counseling psychologist Dr. Patrice Charles King is warning that cyberbullying has become a growing mental health concern, with the abuse now following children beyond the classroom and into their homes through social media. She says the constant exposure to online harassment can have lasting psychological effects, particularly on young people whose identities are still developing.
It's very serious. I think what we need to understand is back in the days, years ago, when a child was bullied at school, they would go home for safety. Now, cyberbullying that's taking place right now has become so sophisticated, and it follows a child home. It follows that child into their bedroom. It's on their phone, and they're constantly seeing and hearing about it 24/7. The brain processes social rejection almost like it's physical pain, and that's what's happening with cyberbullying.
Dr. Charles King says many victims suffer in silence because they fear embarrassment or believe adults cannot protect them.
Emotionally, look to see if that child is becoming very quiet and withdrawn, if they're crying very easily. Parents should absolutely do not tell your child to just ignore it, because they're not going to be able to ignore it. And don't tell your child, oh, you're just being too sensitive, or just stay off your phone, or fight back. Instead, what you should tell your child through support and through your interventions is, I believe you.
And the counseling psychologist believes schools must go beyond disciplinary action and adopt a more preventative approach.
We do need laws that protect children while balancing the freedom of expression. We need to have quicker reporting pathways for individuals or victims of cyberbullying. And of course, we definitely need stronger responses to image-based abuse and protections against anonymous harassment.
Kevin Black for CVM News.
Project STAR is here to stay. That's according to founder and businessman Keith Duncan, as the social project team provided insights and successes on the journey 4 years on at a donor reporting breakfast in Kingston. More in this report.
From reducing crime in several communities many outsiders would not dare to venture into, to registering academic improvement and increasing support for at-risk families in Jamaica, Project STAR is lighting a path for thousands in once gritty spaces. Safri Brown is project director of STAR, short for Social Transformation and Renewal. The project is now operational in 5 communities across Kingston and St. Andrew, St. James and Westmoreland.
At the end of year 4, we're seeing really considerable progress in a number of areas. One, we're seeing improved social stability and stronger support systems, and we'll talk a little bit about that shortly. We're seeing greater economic resilience and opportunity, both at the individual level, but also at the community level. We're seeing stronger community participation and leadership. This is an absolute imperative and one of the most sort of underlying components of creating community change, but also creating sustainable community change. And then we're also seeing increased readiness for long-term sustainability.
Other findings from year 4 prior to the ravages of Hurricane Melissa and delays sparked by a general election indicated the need for male mentorship in some communities, while in others,
when we did the community planning process, many of the communities identified their number one priority issue as weak family structures and poor parenting. It wasn't unemployment, it wasn't crime, it wasn't all these other things that often we think are the number one issue. They identified weak family structures as their number one issue. Another community identified male marginalization as their number one priority issue.
these in tandem with social initiatives and support for parents and the elderly are in part lauded for the decline in rates of violence in these spaces. In schools such as Kingston Technical High, Brown notes a 57% leap in literacy.
Project STAR and our local partners already had that trust, so we were able to go in straight away without that issue of trust. And then economic recovery must begin alongside humanitarian relief. There shouldn't be such a long lag time. We've learned that. We know that moving forward, there have to be mechanisms to move back in very quickly. And so the STAR model proved effective not only for community development, but for community resilience. And community resilience is important if we think about communities being safe and sustainable over time.
Backed by a growing number of private sector donors, the Canadian High Commission and others in partnership with the PSOJ and the JCF, co-chairman Keith Duncan says Project STAR will continue to shine well beyond year 5.
We are here to stay. We are part of the institutional architecture. We are an implementing partner of the Ministry of National Security and Peace. Well, of course, you know, the partnership with JCF, the partnership with the Ministry of Education and Youth and Heart, which has been critical to us in terms of, and that's performance-based, and if we don't hit the targets, we don't get the money, right? So, but these are relationships that were built out and across the corporates, that is across the corporate relationship to get us to where we are. So we're going forward.
Act now. That's the word from Transport Minister Darrell Vaz as he urged motorists with outstanding traffic tickets to settle their debts by September 30, 2026. This follows his announcement on Thursday that the National Demerit Point System will be operationalized on October 1. Natasha Williams has more in this report.
Effective October 1, Transport Minister Darrell Vaz says that there will be a zero-tolerance approach to reckless driving. He stressed that after the September 30 extension from July 31st, all road users with unpaid tickets will begin accumulating demerit points depending on the offense.
You have the option to pay the ticket. If you feel that you have been wronged, you have the ability to go to court and take the matter to court. But the demerit system will be implemented, and the minute you reach the threshold of the points for the various infractions, the ITA will act. And if you are caught driving after that with a suspended license or a revoked license, I don't need to tell you where you're going to go.
He noted that this forms part of a collaborative effort from government agencies to modernize a system that will not only ensure compliance with the Road Traffic Act, but most importantly, save lives.
As of June 24, 2026, a total of 136 persons have lost their lives in 122 road accidents. Excessive speeding, reckless driving, improper overtaking, driving under the influence, distracted driving, and other dangerous behaviors continue to contribute to serious collisions, injuries, and fatalities. This shows slight improvement, and if maintained, we will see Jamaica a 5th successive year of reduction in road fatalities.
However, when asked by our news team what proper mechanisms are in place to ensure that the heavily burdened court system moves with the speed needed for justice to be served on these outstanding tickets, Justice Minister Delroy Chuck said,
"This is where I will be meeting with the Chief Justice and the Court Administration Division to see how best we can compartmentalize, sort out the files so that it is easily accessible. Because the truth is that many motorists want to pay, but when they go to the court, the files can't be found. We are going to get rid of paper files. So everything will now be, we have a thing known as the Inter-Electronic Case Management System, in which everything will be paperless, and that will make it easier.
Managing Director of the Transport Authority, Ralston Smith, says though the system will apply to all motorists, he warned public passenger vehicle operators to curb their behavior on the road.
The Transport Authority wants to encourage all our PPV operators to behave yourself. You must now recognize that a new system is coming. There's a demerit point system that is on the horizon, and that you require a license to provide for yourself and your family. So we urge you to fall in line. For those operators who continue to misbehave, the Transport Authority will have absolutely no recourse but to suspend or revoke those road licenses that are issued to you.
Natasha Williams, CVM News.
Building a home is often the biggest investment a person will make. But what happens when that home is built on land you don't legally own? Could the government acquire the property? And what rights would the homeowner have? Tonight on Query This, Akeem Orrett examines the legal implications of building on borrowed land and whether a house can be taken when the land belongs to someone else. Here's Query This.
For many Jamaicans, the dream of home ownership begins with access to land from a relative or friend. In some cases, homes are built with nothing more than a verbal agreement or understanding between the two parties. Attorney at law Josemar Belnavis says if you receive permission from a family member, friend, or landowner to build on their property, you may have legal rights.
If it is that someone says to you, you can build on my property and I will allow you to live there, then that person actually receives something called a proprietary estoppel, which in layman terms means that the person cannot go back on the promise. So the person can't wait until you have constructed the property after having given you permission and then ask you to leave without some form of compensation, because you, of course, would not be able to take the house with you.
Some of you might be wondering if the government can acquire or remove your house built on a land you don't own. Well, the attorney says in cases where the government acquires land through compulsory acquisition, you are entitled to compensation even if you don't own the land.
There is no real distinction in law between the land and the house that is built on it. So if we operate from that premise, the first primary response would be that the government would be interested in compensating the title holder, because Jamaica operates on what we call a registered title system. And if we operate on that system, it means that the government has a duty to treat with the persons whose name is on the title.
Between building on leased, family-owned or land occupied without the owner's consent, Attorney Belnavis says the legal implications differ.
If you build on property that you do not own, you are at risk of being removed as a trespasser under the law. However, if 12 years elapses from the moment you would have taken possession of the property, you would have treated the land as your own for more than 12 years or more, and you have the necessary intention to treat it as your own singly and exclusively, removing others from the property, fencing it, carrying out other acts of ownership, that person would have established what the law recognizes as possessory title, and they would be able to apply for a title in their own name as an adverse possessor.
There are common mistakes the attorney says you might make when building on land you do not own. Those mistakes, he says, can lead to disputes later on.
When you are investing to build on property, it's a significant investment. Therefore, it cannot be casually done. You can't necessarily just establish an oral agreement to say, I'm going to build this and, we'll see where it goes. It is best to seek consultation from a professional, get something in writing. What are your options if the person comes back for their property? How long are you intending to be on the property? What is the limit of the unit that you are to construct on the property?
Well, that's where we have to leave it on Query This tonight. Remember, if you have a legal dilemma or concern you would like us to query, send an email to aorrett@cvmtv.com. I'm Akeem Orrett. See you next week.
CVM News at 7 continues after this break.
For the moments that are best enjoyed with your hands, enjoy them with a KFC Big Deal or Big Bucket. KFC, it's finger licking good. The time by KFC is
7:30. Welcome to the Pepsi Football Nation.
Rule number 1, it's called football, not soccer. Rule number 2, they should get rid of VAR.
No. Every decision should go to VAR.
Write this down. Pepsi should be the official drink of the nation.
I love that. They won't agree on anything.
That's where Rule 100 kicks in. Everything gets settled on the pitch. What about you? What rule would you want?
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Thanks so much for staying with us. It's now time for the Business Report with Joel Crosskill.
Lots to share with you in the business report today. For over 4 decades, Mayberry Investments' interest in meeting their clients where they are has compounded into an array of avenues to do just that. And last night, a number of the entity's most valued members were on board for an event titled Beyond the Portfolio, where in addition to providing an overview of the business's core function, an introduction to emerging capacities was made by CEO of Mayberry Investments Limited, Patrick Bataille.
Not to give away too much secret sauce, Mayberry is incubating and looking at AI in its process. Want to clarify, Mayberry is looking at AI up to the point of the AI not giving investment advice, because that's something that they would have to be licensed to do.
An important distinction, and communicating that evolution has become a priority, as we learned during the Mayberry Investment CEO's introductory presentation.
So Mayberry's always been an innovative company. We've spent the last 5 to 6 years on improving our digital platform. We're now continuing that so that you can get near real-time information so you can make better investment decisions. What we've started looking at is more data science, decision science using AI. So how do we start looking at the overall market trends from trading patterns, what our clients are doing, so that it can inform our sales advisors and our relationship managers on what they should be recommending to clients from an investment perspective. Part of what we're focused on is algorithm-driven investment decisions. So through AI and data science, we have a lot of folks looking at not only the market data, but your trading behavior, so that we can start informing your client coverage team on investment opportunities aligned with your historical investment strategies and returns. Well, we're looking at AI in research, lead generation, operational efficiencies, and service quality. Beyond the portfolio is now us recognizing that we need to now continue to re-engage our clients, show client appreciation, and then also tell them about the next 40 years of what Mayberry's focused on.
During that span, an adaptive approach to client communication has become a core feature of Mayberry's philosophy, according to both Group CEO Gary Peart and Chairman Christopher Berry.
You know, we have the longest running investor forum on the island, and during COVID we switched that to online. We ended up getting a lot more participants, so we moved away from our monthly format to online format. So what we try to do is have these type of events, you know, periodically. So
we ensure that we're in contact with our customers so they understand how that goes. And it's through events like this where they'll realize that, you know, listen, we're always laser focused on what's required for them to get value.
And this is where it may be found next, according to Bataille.
Alternative investments, where we want to go. So, ultimately Mayberry is looking at where the next 10 years are going. Some of that is going to be through more real estate vehicles, private credit, asset-backed securities, and structured products, which give a better yield.
We have a very good research team. We're able to see things a lot quicker than a lot of other entities that are out there. And then also the relationship we have with our customers. They trust us. They understand that we do the necessary work. Entire business is built on relationships, positive and lasting relationships. And that's what we're doing this to do. And keep that going, keep that camaraderie together. And, they make money, we make money. So we want to make sure that we all make money together.
A prospect, Delano Seavright, Minister of State in the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, suggests has potential for impact across sectors.
It's always important to bring investors together, especially our local investors who are invested in multiple sectors across the Jamaican economy, whether it's manufacturing, real estate, retail, tourism, and beyond. When we bring them together, it gives them an opportunity to discuss other investment opportunities. And Mayberry, of course, has played a very key and facilitatory role in ensuring that investment thrives in Jamaica. So we're in a dynamic world now. We're in an increasingly globalized world. AI is changing the game. But in the end, Jamaica has to focus on its niche products. We have an amazing digital services sector. Some of us call it BPO. It's $1 billion industry. Of course, we have our phenomenal tourism industry, but also we're seeing the democratization of tourism. Jamaican companies can go anywhere in the world and excel.
Sounds like something may be in the pipeline for Mayberry Investments.
Of course, always. Can't tell you tonight.
Ask me that question in 2 weeks and I'll tell you more.
And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crosskill.
And here's Michael Paul with social media.
So, what's making the waves online today? Global oil prices fell below $75 a barrel for the first time since the war in Iran began, easing fears of a major supply shock. But while oil prices are trending downward internationally, motorists are still waiting to see that relief at our local pumps. And as expected, social media users have plenty to say. With fuel prices remaining a hot topic across the island, many online users are already asking the same question. If oil is getting cheaper, when will Jamaicans start seeing the benefits at our local pumps? Here's what you had to say. At It's DJ Was says, a June winner now, stopping nonsense about Maylag. At Stephanie_Elac says, when it went up, it affected us instantly. And now when the roles are reversed, it may lag. Shit, man. At Ricky Richards 831 comments, in Jamaica, notice that nothing that the price increases never decreases. Just up, 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 up. At Sexy.Shay comments, most joke una make. Wanna take people for fool out here? At Akeem 4747 comments, same thing happens with the loan rates on existing loans. They'll go up whenever the BOJ raises their rates a few times, but they've never once went down after the BOJ lowered. I don't know what Akeem is going through. But that's what's trending online today. Continue to share your thoughts with us on X at CVM TV and CVM_television on Instagram and Facebook. I'm Michael Paul.